In this video presentation, I shall discuss about the probable 2 marks questions and their answers from Act 1, Scene 3 of William Shakespeare's play Macbeth. Now, my dear students, I welcome you all to my educational channel. The name of my educational channel is Priyankar Dotto. Here you can find video presentations on English language and literature of school level, college level, as well as of competitive examinations. Now, without wasting any moment, let us move to the main focus of this video presentation. As you can see, the first question from this scene of the play Macbeth is: reproduce the verbal encounter between the first witch and the sailor's wife. You can write the answer to the question in this way. The sailor's wife had been munching chestnuts and the first witch asked for some for her own. At this, the sailor's wife, who was a fat-bottomed, mangy creature, shouted at her to go away. Out of revenge, the witch decided to bewitch the ship of the sailor, named the Tiger. The letter T of the as well as of the word tiger should be in capital and lay a spell upon the captain. The second question from this scene is: how did the first witch decide to go to Aleppo? You can write the question, or rather we can write the answer to the question in this manner. The first witch decided to go to Aleppo like a rat without a tail. The second witch and the third witch decided to give her a wind each. The first witch said that she had other things needed for going to Aleppo. She decided to sail there in a ship. The third question is: how would the first witch torture the sailor? You can write the answer to the question in this way. The first witch would make the sailor suffer from acute thirst for water, and so he would feel as if he was as dry as hay. Moreover, he would not be allowed to close his eyelids for 7 days and nights, although he would feel extremely sleepy. As a result, he would become weaker, lose weight, and become extremely thin. Moreover, the sailor would have to control the ship amid the storm. The fourth question from this scene is: refer to the power and limitation of the first witch as evident in her account of the manner of torturing the sailor of the Tiger. You can write the answer to the question in this manner. In the account of the first witch about her manner of torturing the sailor of the Tiger, it becomes evident that the first witch has the capacity to cause physical torture to a human being in the form of causing acute thirst for water and desire for sleep. She has the power to raise a tempest. However, she does not have the power to destroy the ship. The fifth question from this scene is: why did Macbeth say, "So foul and fair a day I have not seen"? This is a very important question, and you must have to note down the answer of the question, and the answer is: Macbeth said, "So foul and fair a day I have not seen," because he found thunder and lightning in the sky as suggestive of foul, and his personal success against MacDonald, the Thane of Cawdor, and the King of Norway as suggestive of fair. The observation of Macbeth reminds one of the witch's famous "fair is foul and foul is fair" speech. Now we shall move to the next question, and the question is: how did Banquo describe the appearance of the witches? The answer to the question is: Banquo described the appearance of the witches as having withered skin and wild dress. He added that they had choppy fingers, skinny lips, and beards. He concluded that the witches did not appear to be the inhabitants of the earth, and yet were on it, because he and Macbeth could see them before their eyes. The seventh question from this scene is: what did the three witches tell Macbeth during their first encounter with them? You can write the answer to the question in this manner. During their first encounter with Macbeth, the first witch welcomed him on behalf of all. The witches addressed him as the Thane of Cawdor. The second witch welcomed him on behalf of all the witches and addressed him as the Thane of Cawdor. The third witch welcomed him on behalf of all the witches and told that he would become the king of Scotland in future. The eighth question from this scene is, what did the witches predict about Banquo? You can write the answer to the question in this manner. The witches told three things predicting about Banquo. First, the first witch said that Banquo would become lesser than Macbeth and yet greater than him. The second witch said that Banquo would not be so happy as Macbeth, but still much happier than Macbeth. Finally, the third witch said that Banquo would beget kings, though he would never become a king. The ninth question from this scene is, how did Macbeth react to the predictions of the witches when he met them for the first time? The answer to the question is, when Macbeth met the witches for the first time, he expressed his dissatisfaction at their predictions. He addressed them as imperfect speakers and told them to tell him more. He added that he was the Thane of Cawdor, but he could not know how he was the Thane of Cawdor. He also said that it was impossible to believe that he would become the king. He wanted to know the source of the witches' knowledge and the reason for their stopping him and Banquo on the barren earth. The 10th question from this scene is, how did Banquo and Macbeth react when the witches vanished after having made prophecies to Banquo and Macbeth? The answer to the question is, when the witches vanished after having made the prophecies to Macbeth and Banquo, the latter observed that these were the bubbles of the earth. Macbeth wanted them to speak more about his future and so expressed his surprise at the fact that what seemed solid dissolved in the air and disappeared. The 11th question from this scene is, how did Banquo raise doubt about the existence of the witches? The answer to the question is, when the witches appeared before Banquo and Macbeth, the former raised doubt about their existence. However, when they vanished, he looked upon them as bubbles of the earth. He asked Macbeth if the witches were really there, or if they had taken the herb which causes insanity. Finally, when Macbeth told Banquo that his sons would become kings, Banquo told Macbeth that the latter would become the king. The 12th question from this scene is, how did the Thane of Ross convey to Macbeth the message of his becoming the Thane of Cawdor? The answer to the question is, the Thane of Ross told Macbeth that Duncan became extremely happy at the news of the victory of Macbeth. He added that the king became astonished too and wanted to admire him, but due to his emotional condition, could not convey it in words. He concluded that out of his feeling of honor for Macbeth, he and Ross were commanded to bestow upon him the additional title of the Thane of Cawdor. The 13th question from this scene is, how did Banquo and Macbeth react when Ross told of the king's bestowing the title of the Thane of Cawdor to Macbeth? The answer to the question is, when Ross told of the king's bestowing the title of the Thane of Cawdor, Banquo expressed his wonder to the witches' capacity of speaking the truth. On the other hand, Macbeth asked Ross and Angus how he could become the Thane of Cawdor, since the then Thane of Cawdor was alive. The 14th question from this scene is, what did Angus reply when Macbeth said, "Why do you dress me in borrowed robes?" The answer to the question is, when Macbeth said, quotation, "Why do you dress me in borrowed robes?" Note of interrogation, end of quotation. Angus told him that the Thane of Cawdor's treacherous actions against the country had been proved, and the accused had confessed it. He also said that the title of the Thane of Cawdor had been taken away from him, and it had been decided that he would be sentenced to death. Now we shall discuss the 15th question from this scene, and the question is, how did Macbeth react when he became certain that the title of the Thane of Cawdor was awarded to him? The answer to the question is, when Macbeth became certain that the title of the Thane of Cawdor was awarded to him, he said to himself that, as he had already become the Thane of Glamis and the Thane of Cawdor, only kingship was there for him to attain. He thanked Ross and Angus for the trouble they had taken. Finally, he asked Banquo if he did not hope that his children would become the kings in future. We have come to the 16th question from this scene, and the question is, how did Banquo react when Macbeth, happy at his becoming the Thane of Cawdor, suggested that the sons of Banquo would become kings of Scotland in future? The answer to the question is, when Macbeth suggested that the sons of Banquo would become the kings of Scotland in future, Banquo told that Macbeth's becoming the Thane of Cawdor might push him forward for kingship, but warned that the witches were agents of evil, and by telling truths in small things, they win our trust, only to deceive us in matters of vital importance. Now we shall move to the 17th question from this scene, and the question is, what does Macbeth refer to as happy prologues and swelling act? For the answer of the first part of the question, you may write, Macbeth refers to his becoming the Thane of Glamis and the Thane of Cawdor as happy prologues. For the second part of the question, you may write, the swelling act is nothing but Macbeth's becoming the king. Truly speaking, kingship is a position which is sure to give Macbeth both material and social upliftment, suggested by the adjective swelling. Now we shall discuss about the 18th question from this scene, and the question is, what was Macbeth's assessment about this supernatural soliciting? The answer is, according to Macbeth, this supernatural soliciting was neither good nor bad. He added that if it had been bad, it had not proved to be true, and thus had been successful. If it had been good, it had not resulted in the unsettling of his hair, and made his heart shudder against his ribs. Now we shall discuss about the 19th question from this scene, and the question is, what effect did the thought of murdering Duncan have upon Macbeth? And the answer to the question is, the thought of murdering Duncan shook Macbeth so badly that the normal functions of the mind became absent. Macbeth was in no position to brood upon it, but the effect was too great for him to be avoided. It was paradoxical that an imaginary thought troubled him so badly. Now we shall discuss the penultimate question from this scene. And the question is, what did Banquo refer to as new honors, and what did he say about its effect on Macbeth? For the first part of the question you may write, Banquo referred to his becoming the Thane of Cawdor as new honors. For the second part of the question you may write, he said that Macbeth felt as uneasy as one wearing new clothes felt. He added that with the passage of time he would become habituated with them. Now we shall discuss the final question from this scene. And the question is, what did Macbeth plan to do with Banquo due to his becoming the Thane of Cawdor? Macbeth told Banquo that he had planned to discuss with him about the events which had happened. He added that they would do so at a later time. Clearly enough, Macbeth was referring to their meeting with the witches and to his becoming the Thane of Cawdor. This is all about this video presentation. Before concluding this video presentation, I request you to subscribe my channel, to share my video presentations to your friends so that they can also be benefited, and I request you to put forward your comments in the comment section of the video presentations. You can also send me any request for any video presentation in my WhatsApp number, and my WhatsApp number is 9434581673. If you cannot put it down in paper, rather on paper, you can get the number from the description of my YouTube channel. So before concluding, I thank you all.